Hello, welcome to Carolina Woodcrafters. I'm Bill, and welcome you to my channel. And if you like this video, I'd appreciate if you'd like and subscribe. Today's video is a little bit about functional art. I'm going to be using some acrylic paints. I've got five different paints I'm going to use. I've got a gold, a black, a white, a silver, and a metallic silver. And we're going to use a process called fluid art. I'm going to use some cups and so on and so forth. But what we do is we make Lazy Susans, like this one. You see I have tape on the back of this. And I've got tape on the back of this, and there's a reason for it. What we like to do is this is the base. We like to paint the base and the top. And then after I paint those, and we put tape all the way around here, make sure it's secure around the edges. And then I take it out and in my shop, and I use a quarter-inch router bit and around the edge, and I round the other edge, and then I sand it up to where it's real nice and smooth. Now the whole idea behind this tape is, after I get the painting process done, we're going to coat this with Bar Top epoxy. Well, Bar Top epoxy is a great product. The only drawback that I really have with it is grinding the nubbins, or the droplets off the back of it. And I don't know whether you can see it, but here's one that was done the other way. You see this isn't painted yet. You can see the nubbins on this, okay? This process eliminates this and allows us to pre-paint this. And the reason that's important is because once we do this process and I get these ground off and we have to paint it, I don't have such a steady hand anymore, and it's very hard to get a real nice fine line around here with the paint on the back. This process that I'm going to show you today worked great. So let's get started. The first thing, we buy high quality bearing, okay? And I pre-drill these. If you notice, this base is pre-drilled, as well as the Lazy Susan top, okay? Now if you notice, these hole centers are different, and the purpose for that is, once you put this on here, if you didn't have this extra length on here and utilize a screw hole, you'd never be able to attach this. So let's get started, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Line up the holes. Okay. We're just using small screws. I think these are number 6. This is we call it functional art because you know, they come out very beautiful when they're done. They're very purposeful. You know, you can put them on countertops. You can use them on table for condiments. We've had some folks that use them. Girls in college dormitories put their makeups on it, keep them organized. A lot of use. People love these. We sell them at farm markets. I start with we make these out of MDF. This is just regular latex paint. And you're going to see we're going to use acrylic latex paints for the art, and then we use Bar Top epoxy. It makes a really great product. These markets, when we go do them, first thing people say is, "Can I touch it?" Well, once they touch it, pick it up, you know, it's almost a done deal. People, I mean, they sell very well. We used to do 5 markets. We're down to where we're doing 2 markets. You can keep up if we do any more than that. You notice I'm going through this access hole. Now, first screw, I don't attach completely tight, because once I get over here, I need to move this and line it up with the next hole, like right here. Now that I've got that, I'll put these other 3 screws in, and then I go back over and retighten that other one. Now once this paint process is done, we'll go back and we'll put furniture pads over top of these. Gives it a nice finish. Makes them so that they don't scratch countertops or tabletops or anything. They're just regular furniture pads. Those are little, I'm sure you've seen them on the bottoms of lamps and these kind of things. Give my wife credit, this is her idea. Okay, now we've got that done. Get these screws out of the way. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this up on here. Here's a little pro tip, okay, before I go any further. I've got plastic down on this table, but also I have wax paper that I put down. And what that does is, as I go through this process, I'm going to, when I do the initial painting process, you're going to see me come over here and put all the drips over here, and then I'll bring it back over here and let it dry here. Once this is done, I'm going to do the resin process over here, and that resin's going to drip on here. When I'm done, it's an easy cleanup. Just fold it up and away it goes. Keeps things from sticking to the table, that sort of thing. So, okay. Again, I'm using acrylic paints. Here's a pro tip. I'm going to give you a couple pro tips today. Wax paper was one of them. This is windshield washer solvent. A lot of folks are using just plain water doing the fluid art process. I found that when I do that, it takes 48 to 72 hours for this paint to dry to where I can go over top of it with bar top epoxy. I use this windshield washer solvent, and it cuts the time in half. It's got a little bit of alcohol in it. I learned this little trick when I used to do some spray painting. Another product I use is Floetrol. It makes the paint flow better. And then lastly, we use silicone oil. This is 3-in-1 silicone oil. I picked it up at Home Depot. Okay, we put a few drops of that in there, and I'll explain that process as we go. So let's get started. Put our gloves on here, so I'll make a mess. Okay, got 5 paints I'm going to use. So I've got 5 cups, 1 for each color. Now this is a 16-inch round, so it's a little over a square foot. Okay, and in order to do that, I'm going to need about almost this cup full. Now you need to think a little bit ahead about what you're going to do. I like using white, black and white for contrast. Okay, sometimes I just use white, sometimes I use just black, but in this sequence I'm going to use both. And then in these two, I'm not going to put any silicone oil, whereas the other ones I will. Okay, and we'll see that as we go. All right, so you need to think up front whether you want something dark or whether you want something light. Okay. Now this one has a lot of light in it, but I didn't end up with I want a little more white in it, and I want more gold to show. It's very pretty piece, and that's the beauty of this. You can do one piece, and then come along and do a derivative of it, make another piece. Now a lot of times what I like to do, I use a little bit bigger cups, and when I mix the paints, then I'll do 2. I'll do a large. Of course, these aren't the same batch, same colors, but you get the idea. This is a 12-inch and a 16-inch. These are the 2 items that we sell. I've made some other sizes, but there's a little bit of an upcharge because of using more material and wasting more material. All right, let's get back to what we were doing. I'm gonna mix a good bit of white. Now, something you have to keep in mind is these mixtures are going to be half paint, half Floetrol. This Floetrol doesn't affect the color. When it dries clear. So you're going to end up with whatever color you have. But this makes this a better product. Okay, so I want to make a good bit of white. Get this about a third of the way up. Okay. We'll mix a little bit of black. I don't want a whole lot of black. Shake. Like Mr. Bond, shaking and not stirring. This one shaking and stirring. So I just got a little bit in there. This is more or less like a flat silver. They call it silver plata. Alex silver. If you recall, I said I wanted a little more gold this time. I'm going to do like I did the white. I'm going to use like a third of the color. Now, like again, I said the Floetrol is half, so I've got a third a cup here and a third a cup here, so I'm going to add a third of a cup of Floetrol to each of those. You just look at what you have and add the same amount of Floetrol. I've seen folks online at this point add their water or whatever. I don't like to do that because as you use different paints, if you'll notice, this paint isn't the same brand as this. And what you'll end up with is different degrees of thickness. So it's advisable you go ahead and mix up the Floetrol in the paint. These are thoroughly mixed. Some people call this a dirty pour. Basically, once we get these mixed up, get the silicone oil in them and so on, we're just going to dump them alternately. No random, no sequential order. And that's the beauty of this. And you use the same recipe 100 times, and every time you're going to have 100 different outputs. Never the same. Okay, now actually that is not too bad. I want these to be like flow like warm honey. Yeah, it's a little thicker. The white's in your black for some reason. I'm just going to add a little bit to these. A little bit more to And again, this is, don't be afraid to play with it. I mean, what's the worst can happen if you make a mess? You let it dry and you get rid of the top of it. Tinker around and find what works for you. Again, we'll make sure this is thoroughly mixed. And that blue in this windshield washer solvent does not affect the color whatsoever. Good pro tip. The third pro tip that I'm going to show you is using this. I've got this little box over here I've got lined with wax paper. When I do this, I'm going to be tilting it to move the colors around, and it's going to drip. Or rather than drip it in an area where this is going to dry and end up getting some of it on the bottom, I can do it over here and then bring it back over here, and we're golden. I want to give credit where credit is due as well. You know, what I'm doing here, I heard this off of YouTube from someone else. I've got my own variations on it, but the basics are the same. There's a lot of good artists on YouTube. Don't be afraid to look around. But always come back to us. We appreciate you coming back and getting views and likes and subscribes. helps our channel. We're trying to develop a good channel. Okay. Now again, I told you I'm not going to put any silicone oil in the black or the white, just the colors. Okay, I'm going to put about 5 drops. You do not want to stir this, you want to fold it. You don't want to blend it all throughout. You just want some of it to be have oil on it, some of it doesn't. And when I do this, when I'm done folding like this, I like to take the stirrer stick out of it so I know that it's stirred and I don't stir it again. See, I'm not going in any quick order. I'm just I'm going to save these because I might want to have a paper towel. Alright, now my intention is I've got this hand clean. I want to try and keep it clean because I don't want to get paint on it and have to handle this, put it back on here and end up with paint on the bottom side. That defeats the purpose of what we did before. Okay, here we go. Just dump it. Okay. Now, I'm going to take this on the bottom and I'm going to let gravity do the work. Okay, just spread it around a good little bit. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use my hand. See, I'm taking almost like a printing press and letting that hand drag that paint over the edge. Like I said, when this dries, I'm going to hit this with a torch. This does it, it'll bring the cells out. This is a special order. Lady loved, we sold a bigger one. Remember I told you how I make a little one and a big one? I have the same back. Well, I did that. The big one sold, and our lady come around, and she liked what she saw with the little one, so I'm trying to somewhat duplicate what I had. What I'll do is I'll email her a photo before I do the bar top. And if she likes it, fine. If she doesn't, then I'll do something different. Now at this stage, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go around here and look at this and make sure I carry all the paint over. Now I can set this down, and that whole backside remains clean. Okay. Now, look how light this is and look how dark this is. Same coloration, just a little different formula. Now what I want to show you is affects what you can do with a little bit of heat, a little bit of air, whatever. Now this, I want you to notice you don't see a whole lot of cell work. Now look at the cells. This will change a little bit as it dries as well. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a close up. See what we got. See all the little cells. That's what that torch did. Got all those little cells. Okay.